This is the MMA Brief Podcast, recapping the world of mixed martial arts every single week, with your host, Brandon Johansson.
Welcome back to the MMA Brief Podcast. A weekend that was supposed to deliver two sizable heavyweight matchups across two different promotions, and one of them, the bottom fell out. Fedor Emelianenko did not fight this past Saturday against Matt Mitrione. Matt Mitrione suffered kidney stones, was not cleared. 3 hours before the event started, the doctors pulled him from the fight. Rumors have it a lot of people stepped up to fight Fedor on only a few hours' notice. Names like Rampage Jackson, Chael Sonnen, Cheick Kongo, even Tito Ortiz, who recently retired, so I heard a lot of rumors. But Fedor did not want to fight anybody that night. He had made up his mind that he was going to wait for Matt Mitrione. Josh Thompson versus Patricky Pitbull. The co-main event slid into that main event slot. Of course, Josh Thompson's from the Bay Area, and the card was in San Jose, California. So he was in his backyard, and unfortunately for him, he got knocked out by Patricky Pitbull early in round two. Before Patricky Pitbull ultimately finished Josh Thompson with an uppercut, there was a clash of heads, and it might have had something to do with the end of the fight. He landed a really nice punch, took out Josh Thompson, which is a huge feather in anyone's cap. Very, very tough fighter, durable, former Strikeforce champion. He's been in there with a lot of good guys. I believe he's the only one to TKO Nate Diaz in the UFC with the head kicks. So Josh Thompson, a very formidable opponent, and Patricky Pitbull, who, if you've been watching Bellator for a number of years like I have, he's one of their stars from the beginning. I've been watching this guy fight for probably 6 years. 6 years. He came in when Bellator got popular. Him and his brother Patricio. Patricio Pitbull. I mean, how can't you love those guys? They don't win every fight, but they always come to bang. It felt like it was almost like a Scott Coker guy versus a Bjorn Rebney guy in a way. I don't think it had a lot of that. I don't know if anyone else was saying this, but Patricky and his brother came up through Bjorn in the Bellator tournament style. They always had exciting finishes, and they were always right there in title contention or becoming the champion. Then you got Josh Thompson, who's always been a Coker guy back to the Strikeforce days. Scott Coker took over for Bjorn Rebney as the president of Bellator. Bjorn Rebney, the original founder of Bellator, let his shares get so diminished by Viacom, which is just a huge global media conglomerate, that they pretty much were like, dude, you don't work here anymore. Like, what are you talking about? I started this business. They're like, nah, you don't own enough anymore. We got this other guy, used to do a really good show called Strikeforce before the UFC bought him. We're going to let him run things. So in a small way, I felt like it was this original Bjorn Rebney guy, original Bellator guy, versus an original Strikeforce guy. And in San Jose, where Strikeforce had a lot of their cards, majority of their cards were held right there in Scott Coker's backyard, San Jose, California. And Josh Thompson was on those cards. So very good main event to supplement what would have been an even better card. A lot of people are saying, is Bellator going to be able to recover after all these, fake fight allegations? Chael Sonnen versus Tito Ortiz recently, but before that it was Dada 5,000 versus Kimbo Slice, and before that it was Ken Shamrock, Kimbo Slice. There's been a lot of fake fight main event allegations against Bellator, which is very, very serious when you're talking about combat sports because they're sanctioned by athletic commissions, and if there were to be found that they were falsifying results and predetermining results, they would lose their license and no longer cease to exist as a promotion. So these are very, very, very unlikely that these fights are fixed. Sometimes I feel bad fights look like fixed fights. Just the lack of skill, technique, endurance, what have you. They look somewhat fake. Getting past all that, people are saying Bellator needs to come back strong. They need to put on a really, really impressive card. They need to deliver. Everyone was promised Fedor, the last emperor, the GOAT, against Matt Mitrione, who, as Jaws said last week on this program, throws bricks. So Matt Mitrione, very dangerous heavyweight, very athletic guy. Played professional football. I would have loved to see that fight. Fedor says he's going to wait. Surprisingly, Matt Mitrione says, I'm not going to wait around till May or June. I want to get right back in there after I get this kidney stone thing taken care of. We'll see what happens here in Bellator. A lot of people are criticizing them. And they have a huge backing with Viacom. From their legal department all the way, they're not going to go out of business. Bellator is going to be strong, but they need to start holding better events to keep people's attention. And something like this, where a guy's pulled 3 hours before the fight, you really can't prevent that. Unfortunately, Matt Mitrione doesn't cut any weight, so this wasn't a weight cut issue, where you have a lot of guys getting pulled the day before a fight, the week of a fight, because of the weight cut. He doesn't even cut weight, so this is just his body just dealing with some shit at the worst possible time for him and for his promotion. Also on the card, Cheick Kongo defeated Ali Thompson by unanimous decision, and I think it's official. He has my unanimous decision for the most boring fighter as of late. 4 straight decisions for Cheick Kongo. And you can't deny what he's doing is effective. But look at his record. I'm not going to call anybody out by name. But look at some of the fighters he's beaten. These are not top flight heavyweights in the world. Cheick Kongo has been reduced to, like I said, the most boring fighter that I watch. I used to get excited about Cheick Kongo fights. Ever since he got knocked out by Mark Hunt and then Big Country Ronan Nelson, he's been a very conservative fighter. He has, I believe, 2 submission wins. I think he has 3 stoppages in his Bellator career. But if you look at the guys, he should be running through them all. And he has an incredible amount of Bellator fights. I didn't realize how much he's been putting it down over there at Bellator. He's been fighting, like, in the recent, he's only fought like 3 times in the past year, but he's fought a lot over there. I wish I had Jaws here to look up how many times he's fought in Bellator. I want to say it's close to 10 times he's already fought in Bellator. And they're against cans. He has, he beat LeVar Johnson over there by submission. We all remember LeVar Johnson, crazy power. But his bugaboo had always been his ground game and his submission defense. Cheick Kongo exposed that. Cheick Kongo gets another win, but listen, I wasn't excited about it. He got great top position, held him down, beat the fuck out of him, but it just isn't what you want to watch for 15 minutes, honestly. He used to be a feared striker, Cheick Kongo. One of the most exciting fights of all time, Pat Barry versus Cheick Kongo, and then you watch his fights now and you're like, is this the same fucking guy? He's sucking the life out of me watching this stuff. Like, I'm glad he's getting the wins, but, it's all about that entertainment versus sport. And it's got to be entertaining. You can't match him up against guys. I've never heard of, 5 of the guys he fought. and they've never fought anybody at UFC caliber. So, and he wasn't finishing these guys. I don't want to harp on it, but it wasn't a fun fight. That was the co-main event. He beat Ali Thompson by unanimous decision. Fedor's boy, Anatoly Tokov, TKO'd Francisco Franz. Round 2. What a great name. Francisco Franz? You kidding me? Shit. But he got TKO'd second round by Fedor's boy. And then Fedor came out because he was cornering his bro, and he said, "Hey, sorry I couldn't fight, and promised I'll deliver a good show when the fight finally happens. Sorry to all the people who bought tickets here tonight," and shit like that. You know, they had their moment where Fedor kind of tried to redeem himself a little bit. He didn't really have much to redeem. He didn't fight. You know, Matt Mitrione had the health problem, but man, everybody was stoked to see that fight. They had the arena packed, and it was a disappointing turn of events. Vida Ortega defeated Brooke Mayo by doctor stoppage late in round 3. Just about 56 seconds left in the fight. The doctor called an end to it. Brooke Mayo's eye started to get very large, swelled up, size of a clementine. We've seen worse, especially from someone who's supposed to fight on this card, Matt Mitrione. His eye against Travis Brown was ridiculous. It was like a softball was growing out of his head. It was scary. And her eye wasn't near as bad. Doctor stopped it. She was very disappointed after the fight. Says that women get treated differently in MMA, like they're fragile. This is not her words. This is my interpretation of what she's trying to say. The referees don't give women the same amount of leeway to take punishment as they do men. And she might have a point. I was disappointed that they stopped the fight because she was very, very... It was a close fight. This Vida Ortega, tough as nails. She's not traditionally beautiful by any means, but she is a dog in there, and she fights really hard. 115 pounds. She doesn't look like it when you look at her, but man, she can throw down. She seems tough, take a punch. She seems well-rounded. Depending on who they put her up there against next time, we'll really see. But I was very impressed with Vida Ortega. But I was impressed by Brooke Mayo. She was making her professional debut. It was actually a pretty fun fight, and to see it get stopped there with less than a minute to go in the last round because of the hematoma on the eye, it was disappointing. She was screaming, pleading, "Don't stop the fight, I can see," and it was like, "Oh, come on, just let it go. Let it go 50 more seconds." She took a big shot, ground and pound from Ortega with not too much time, and that thing just blew up. They stopped the fight. I'd love to see both women where they go from here. Brooke Mayo now 0-1 in her professional career, but she seemed promising, especially competing with a person I feel seems very tough, very game and skilled, Vida Ortega. And lastly, Mauricio Alonso TKO'd UFC veteran and Ultimate Fighter veteran Josh Koscheck in round 1. All right, jumping over to the UFC Fight Night. Travis Brown versus Derek the Black Beast Lewis. Excellent card. I started with the main event on Bellator. I'm going to work my way up from the prelims on UFC here. Thiago Santos got the night rolling with a beautiful spinning heel kick TKO of Jack Marshman. That was the first fight on the FS1 prelims, and I was like, hell yeah. Last week, 10 fights, 9 decisions. It was nice to see the very first fight of the FS1 prelims was a spinning heel kick knockout. I was like, hell yeah. Now we're fucking getting somewhere. Randa Marcos upset the Cookie Monster Carla Esparza by split decision. Very competitive fight. I personally thought Carla did enough, but man, it was so close that I wasn't surprised that Randa got the nod. And it's a big deal for Randa because I believe Carla was ranked 3 at the time and Randa was unranked. One of those weird matchups, and so Randa should get right in there, probably top 10, and hopefully she gets a good opponent. So Carla Esparza was very disappointed. She posted several things on social media with other outlets' scorecards having her as the winner, and she felt like she was robbed. It was a super close fight, and you got to go in there, especially when you're in Canada and you're fighting a Canadian fighter. I don't care if you don't want to believe in the conspiracy, but there is a factor there. You got to go in there and you got to go finish them in their home territory. You can't leave it up to the judges and then be surprised because it was too close of a fight to be bitter about. You should have did more to, if she got really, really robbed, then I could see her argument. But she didn't get robbed. I mean, it was a close fight. And Randa Markos, decision win, split decision. So they've had some bad blood ever since the Ultimate Fighter that they were on. Randa thought that Carla was kind of a bully. She led with a pack of females and kind of picked on Randa. And after Randa won, she called out bullies all around. And afterwards, she said that was aimed right at Carla because she thinks Carla is a bully. Very good fight. Sarah McMahon ran through her opponent, Gina Marzani, in 1 minute and 16 seconds. Took her down, immediately achieved the mount. Next thing you know, arm triangle, tap. It was beautiful. Sarah McMahon looks like a legitimate contender. Looks like she's working on her skills, rounding out her game. She's putting the jiu-jitsu pieces together. As long as she can keep the fight competitive on the feet, I really think that she's going to be a tough... She might have got ran through by Ronda Rousey, but she's, I believe, going to have a more sustainable career. She's an animal. Fun fight. It was fun to watch. Like I said, after all the decisions last week, it was fun to see some of these dominant victories. The next one was Paul Felder, who absolutely decimated his opponent, Alessandro Ricci, in the first round. It's kind of like an uppercut elbow. Not like Anderson Silva did it, but more just like straight up the middle and just cracked him in the jaw, led with a bunch of more strikes until it was TKO over. And it was really good work from Paul Felder. Great win. Johnny Hendricks returned to the winner's circle for the first time in almost 2 years, and over the span of 4 fights, gets his first victory in a new weight class. First victory at middleweight against Hector Lombard. Hector now has lost his last 3. It was a competitive fight. Hector possesses so much power, and so does Johnny, that sometimes there you thought someone's getting their head taken off, and other times it was kind of lulling you. It was a good fight. Johnny looked energetic. He looked like he did 3 years ago. He was feeling good about his combinations, and I would have liked a knockout from him because that absolutely devastating power that he used to possess has been absent from all of his fights recently. So I would have liked to saw Johnny knock out Hector, but a unanimous decision win is a win. Johnny is calling out a GSP, which it's a fight he's not going to get, but he does have history with him. So that was a good co-main event, and in the main event, Derek the Black Beast Lewis versus Travis Brown. Excellent fight. Excellent heavyweight fight. Really delivered. Travis Brown hurt Derek the Black Beast Lewis on 3 occasions in the first round. 2 times with kicks to the body and once with a knee to the body. He had him... I'm surprised he survived. I thought it was over every time he landed one of those body shots. He endured it. Eventually ended up landing some big shots on the feet and then landed a big shot, a right hook across the middle, just grazed Travis right in the top of the head, disoriented him. He flopped to the ground, and absolute brutal ground and pound from Derek Lewis. Should have been stopped a little sooner, probably about 2 or 3 punches before it was. Yamasaki was late hopping in there. Derek Lewis put the whole heavyweight division on notice now, his 5th consecutive win, and he's for real. Travis Brown hasn't looked great as of late, but he looked really good in the first round. He looked like almost Travis Brown of old. And Travis just, I don't know. He couldn't deal with the onslaught that was Derek Lewis. I've heard it said now a lot that he shouldn't be winning these fights, but he is. He's just, you watch some of the takedowns he landed on Travis Brown. He just said, no, you're going to the ground. There wasn't much technique to it. He just, pretty impressive, just physical. You're going down, like that type of style, and it's hard. It's hard to combat. So I'd love to see his next matchup in the heavyweight division. Next week, I'm going to be previewing UFC 209, the rematch of Tyron Woodley versus Wonderboy Thompson. Rematch of their absolute classic draw from November 2016 at the historic UFC 205. Epic fight. Deserves a rematch. We're going to get the rematch March 4th. 9 days away. And in the co-main event, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony El Cucuy Ferguson for the interim lightweight championship. Can't wait for that fight. There's a lot of other good fights. We're going to preview them all next week. Thanks for listening.